Welcome everybody to the Mind, Body, and Soul TV, coming to you live on YouTube Live as well as Hangouts and at consciousrevolutionmedia.com. I'm your host, Coach Steve Tuitt, and also the founder of Conscious Evolution Media. We stopped counting our shows after 15,000 shows, so who knows where we are? It doesn't matter anymore. Welcome everybody to this fantastic evening. We have a great guest with us this evening. His name is Carl Brooks, and he is joining us from one of my favorite places in Europe, and that would be the Netherlands. And welcome to the show, Carl.
Thank you so much, Steve. I'm just so thrilled to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, great to have you. And Carl is a business coach, and is actually coaching coaches how to run their business better. And I'm really excited to talk about the theme this evening, which happens to be about how to get clarity just about anything. But before we get started, I'd like to ask you, Carl, so if I take away the title business coach and any other title that anyone has ever called you, and that could be partner, that could be whatever in your life, if I was that powerful, and which I'm not, and I could take those titles away, what's left? Who is really Carl Brooks?
Great question. Yeah, who am I? Well, at the core of it all, of course, we're all energy. We all know that. But I was born and raised in England, and I've been living now in Amsterdam in the Netherlands for about 20 years, so my accent is kind of all over the place. But I was born and raised there. My father worked as a truck driver, and my mother was a humble housewife and very, very efficient coupled together, and they really gave me such a foundation of life and how to listen to your own voice, how to follow your own dreams. And I'm so grateful for their support and guidance when I was young. And now I live here in Amsterdam, a business coach. I have a background in 20 years in marketing and communication, working for big companies like British Telecom and also Air France, KLM. But I came to the conclusion just 4 years ago that the corporate world had bestowed on me a certain skill, and it was time now to move on, move forward, and really honor my spirit and the calling to move forward into coaching and to help people to make a bigger impact, them get their great work into the world, which is really why I do this work.
All right, that's fantastic. So this is how small the world is, Carl. You and I have a lot in common. I spent 20 years in consulting in telecommunications, and I actually worked for a company in London called Logica, which I'm sure you know, or you heard of them.
Yes, I have. They have an office here around the corner as well.
So that's how small the world is.
Yeah.
All right, so that's fantastic. So I'm really excited about this theme, how to get clarity just about anything, and of course it will assist everybody that's watching the show now and in the future, regardless of what it is that they're involved in. I didn't want to make the show just about coaches, because this subject matter that you and I are going to be talking about pretty much covers everybody. So my skin is already getting goosebumps, so I know I'm connected to my source. So I don't know about you. I would like to kind of approach this theme this evening. And by the way, acknowledgement goes out to you. It's past 2:00 in the morning in Europe. So how I would like to approach the theme of this evening is, mostly I think people would expect us to talk about all these things that you got to do to be a successful coach or to be a successful anything. But I'd like to stay away from that for a little bit. And this is what's really coming to me right now. Let's talk a little bit more about who you have to be, because I don't know about the people in the Netherlands, but people in America are masters at doing. Like, that's all everybody does is doing. And I'm getting this vibe that maybe it's not that much about the doing, although yes, we do have to do things, but maybe it's a little more about who we are being. What do you think?
Well, I think it depends on really what wall your ladder is leaning against. Um, we're also very good here in the Netherlands and in Europe at doing. The Americans, as you said, are really good at it. But what I find happening, from particularly in the coaching world, is that a lot of people come to me having climbed the ladder, only to realize they reached the top and they put all their energy into that, and for years and years, only to find that this is not really the wall that they want to be climbing up. And that's when they come to me looking for answers to either life questions or business questions, because they are run down. They are now compensating their lack of direction by either using drugs, if it's life coaching, or compensating with other behaviors, and they are just letting themselves down or letting their spirit down because they're not connected to the spirit in the first place. So what happens is that we put a lot of effort again into running up this ladder in life, and it's so important to take the time uh, from, to look at really which wall you want to run up and which direction you want to run in. That makes sense.
So yeah, it makes perfect sense, Carl. I think what you're also talking about is that what's present for more people these days is lots of confusion, which is the opposite of clarity, right? Which is what we're going to talk about. So people are confused. They have lots of confusion, and I think you're right on that they are confused because people are not doing. They figuring out that they're not doing what they came here to do. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, in many cases they are, or they're disillusioned by the world around them because they have literally given away the responsibility to find their true calling in life to another entity, be it a company or a person. They're literally they've sold themselves the story that it's important for us to generate income, to have a steady income, no matter where, because the mortgage has to be paid, and we all have these overheads and costs, and there has to be some money coming in. They put that first, and
Yeah.
we all have to start with why and which direction we want to go in, because if we are not aligned, if our work and our energy that we put out into the world isn't aligned with our soul's calling, then inevitably we're going to end up in this confusion that you're talking about, and ending up living a life of regret. And one of the things that I try to teach my students and a lot of people who graduate from my courses is to reverse engineer their life. So one of the tips I give, with it's a little bit morbid, but I just want to drive it home, that there is going to come a moment in all of our lives when we take our last breath and we close our eyes for the last time. And what do we want to say at that point? What do we want to think at that moment? In terms of whether we lived our life fully, whether we really fully engaged with the world, with our energy, that we honored spirit, that we gave our gifts to the world, or is there another scenario, for example, that you didn't do it, and there's this regret? And the reason why I often begin my teachings with this is because I really just want people to understand what's at stake here. We're here for a finite time, and it's so important to use this divine time that we have here on the earth to honor what we are here to do, and to take the time to find out what that is, and then to move in the direction of making that happen.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. So what I'm also hearing in this description of yours is that it's really like the Matrix. Are you familiar with the Matrix trilogy?
Yes.
It's like people have two options: take the blue pill or take the red pill. If you take the blue pill, every day will be just like the one yesterday, and everything will be fine, and you'll just continue. You'll just continue on like a robot, and it's just that's the way life is. Or take the red pill, which is I feel what you're offering to people, and you show them how deep the rabbit hole goes. And interestingly, I feel that, and I've been watching humanity now for decades, is that everybody, and this included me, are looking for the solutions outside of ourselves. and that's not where it is. So how do you feel about that?
Oh, absolutely. That I totally agree that. However, it's not that easy for all of us. If it was easy to connect to source and to our calling, we'd all be doing it. The problem is that it starts obviously in childhood with either our parenting or through the our culture that we are born into. No, we get signs and we are guided to live our lives in a certain way. I remember that my father said very distinctly to me when I was 16 years old. He said, just make sure you finish high school, go through college, and then get a job at a bank or in a big corporate world, because then you're going to be safe, and then you're going to have money, and that's the most important thing. Now, my father was from a generation where a steady income was indeed the most important thing, and yet now, as consciousness and awareness in the world grows, what we're finding is that we have a little bit more free time and resources and inspiration from what's happening around us. For example, on social media, we're constantly being as actually distracted by other people's lives, and as a result, we are exactly what you said. We find it very difficult to really find what we think about the world, what we should be doing in the world, and what our gifts exactly are to put out into the world. So yeah, there's a lot of conditioning out there which is very difficult to get through, and that really is the hero's journey. This whole conditioning that we've been born into, and it doesn't matter where you are in the world. We're all born into a certain conditioning and culture, and really we borrow the conditionings from our parents as well, and yet at the end of or through all of this, there is this drive from spirit that calls us to do something and to move through. And it's a very small voice amongst all of this noise on social media, on the TV, even just stepping out into the street, going to the mall. There's so much noise and distraction to keep us away from the softer voice of spirit. And eventually that's why people move into spirituality, or they find a divine connection because they really want to reconnect with that. They feel lost with it because it's constantly being interrupted. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Well,
Yeah.
well, we are in total agreement. Therefore, it's why I disconnected myself from social media, because it did what you said. It distracted me to what was really important, and it distracted me from being focused and being intentional, because
Mm-hmm.
that's how I live my life these days. Is I'm being very intentional, and social media just doesn't fit into it, because it's just noise that doesn't mean anything, but it doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? I also disconnected commercial television, because it does not mean anything. It's garbage. It's negativity, and I can do without all those things. So that frees me up, actually, and it's giving me more time, more energy to be who I really am,
Mm-hmm.
and to be able to do the things that I want to do. So we talked about this on the show earlier, that yes, it's important to do things, but where is the calling coming from? What to do?
Yeah.
See, when people are confused, they're doing things because the world is making them.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It is.
uh,
It's a merry-go-round. It's like we are permanently in an amusement park, or we're in Disneyland, constantly being distracted,
hmm,
and it's very difficult to take ourselves away from the bright lights and distractions. And yet, among all of this, the meditation movement and spirituality movement, and even the New Age movement, which started, I believe, in the 60s or 70s, is still there with us. It's still guiding us and supporting us and giving us an alternative to this rat race of media and distractions, as you mentioned before. So
yeah, yeah,
yeah, and it is confusing for people because we are all looking at each other. I can to find direction. I think more than ever we're looking toward leaders to move us forward and to give us clarity on things. And even to take up your point, I do have a smartphone. I do have social media on there, but I've now removed all of the news apps. There's 24-hour 7 days a week saturation. I call it
yeah,
saturation of death, doom, destruction. And I'm not sticking my head in the sand, because I do know the issues and I do read the papers and I do have my opinions and I do take action. I recycle my garbage, and I'm very kind to animals, and I'm loving and peaceful to my fellow citizens. But I don't
Yes,
need death,
that's
doom, and
obvious.
destruction in
That's
my face
obvious.
24 hours a day. Thank you very much. Um,
Yes.
I would rather use my energy to focus and be creative, and really, as you said, be intentional. I love that.
Yes, yes, and being creative, as far as I can tell, after all the years that I spent doing this, there's nothing that I can come up with that's more about consciousness and creating the next level of evolution than to be creative, than to be open to what's happening in the world. And here are the goosebumps again, like being open to just put ourselves out there, and whatever happens.
Mhm.
And and I'm not saying that we have to like guard ourselves necessarily 24/7 from negativity, because positivity doesn't exist without negativity. What I'm saying is that we don't need to get stuck. We need to learn, all of us need to learn how to not to be stuck in negativity, and how do we, from what we don't want, we can create this new idea, whatever that is, that we do want, and then focus ourselves towards that direction. And then that's where the doing is coming from. So the doing is really coming from what we always wanted, basically. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, I totally, yeah, it is. It is amazing.
like
It's a
like
wonderful, wonderful description. Yeah.
like
And yeah,
so
let me just add to that. Let me just add to that that for me, um, clarity comes from action. So one of the ways that I live by that rule is to create before I consume. So my day will begin by creating. So I will write a blog, or I will create a new module for a course I'm working on for my students, or I'll maybe think of a new program. We'll go for a walk and get some inspiration as I go. And that's when you take control again of your day. So you create before you consume. Now I realize that we are in a world of social media and distractions. So I'm sure that not everyone is probably fully able to disengage from it as you have, which is wonderful that you've been doing it. But as a balance in life, I tend to use the mornings when my willpower is highest and my energy is highest for creating, and then the afternoons for engaging, perhaps doing some email, some social media work. Then, so that's really my tip to deal with energy and creating, and at the same time engaging with the world.
fantastic. So in terms of and I know this because what the interesting thing that happens on our network and on our shows is that I get to prove, not just to myself, but to the world and anybody that watches our network, that we are bringing people in from all over the world. Like you are on the show right now from the Netherlands.
Mm.
And the beliefs that you have are very similar to the beliefs that I have.
Mm-hmm.
And we
Oh
have
yeah.
actually never connected
No.
in the past. And we didn't have to,
No.
because life occurs based on the laws of attraction. And if you didn't vibrate at the level that you vibrate with us, we wouldn't be doing this right now.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
You agree? Yeah.
Oh yes, that's what I found. I have group coaching calls, much like this. We don't do a hangout, but we use another system called Zoom, and we could all see each other. Have clients from South Africa, from Australia, from the States, also from Europe, and it's just amazing that we all have connected, and we all have the same emotions, similar stories, and we all come to the table with a similar energy, as if we've known each other for years. So it's become very apparent to me, very clear, that distance has nothing to do with uh, with connection and with humanity.
Mm.
And particularly in the world as it is today, where we have the internet, which has only been around for maybe 30, no, 20, 30 years. I mean, I remember, in the 80s we didn't have internet, we didn't have smartphones, but particularly in these days, it's so easy to connect. And I have my clients are mostly either in the States or Australia, and a few in Europe as well. And for me, it means nothing to connect over these distances. It really is one world, and I think that technology is also helping to reinforce that energy that we share together. And
Mm.
it's often faded out by the noise of the media. And as you said at the beginning, commercial media companies who are really only showing us what they know they can pull in, they can use to pull in the viewers in order to sell advertising.
Mm.
And but when you really do connect with people on a much deeper level, like this, you really do notice that there is really no difference between you and I, similar backgrounds, as you mentioned earlier in this conversation. And that applies to
Mm.
so many people. It applies to all of us. We
Yes.
all have struggles. We
Yes.
all
Yeah.
experience the same emotions. We all have fears. We all have struggles. And when we connect, we realize that, hey, yeah, I struggle with that as well, but you live 12,000 kilometers away and we've never met before. How's that possible? So I get that all the time. And it really no
uh,
longer surprises me. It actually, I come to expect
um,
it.
yeah. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's awesome. So, as I look at my own growth, and it's something that continues on forever. Um, I have always lived by this philosophy, which is I always do things that are outside of my comfort zone. So that's the way I feel that I grow and I expand, and with the new ideas as well. But I always put myself in a position where if there's something that I'm called to do or I want to do, just because I don't know maybe how to do it right at this moment, I commit to it and I'll do it anyway.
Mm.
How do you live by similar rules?
Well, I used not to live by that rule, and
uh,
it got me to a place where I wasn't very happy, and that I was
uh,
kind of living the life that my boss at work wanted me to live, and doing things that I really was not gifted to do, to be quite honest with you. And I did my job well, but I was just using skills. I wasn't using heart. I wasn't using passion doing it. It was just a skill that I'd learned. And then I realized that it's really important to um, honor what you are good at, to listen to respect your skill set, and not the skill set that your parents wanted you to have, not the skill set that your spouse would like you to have, or not the skill set that your ego wants to show to the world, but that deeper skill set, even if it's just a good listening ear, maybe if it's just being able to draw or to write your deepest feelings, or maybe it's helping other people to still that dark inner voice that stops them from doing what they should be doing in the world. So I have become a lot more in tune with life outside the comfort zone, and come to realize that that is the only life. There
yes,
is only life.
it's the it's
It's
it is the
outside the comfort
playground.
zone. Yeah,
It is the playground. Yeah,
it's where it begins.
it is
And
what we used to do when we were kids, Carl.
yeah, isn't it? Isn't it? Yeah, and it reminds me so much of, um, these days we are sold food that is biological or organic, and as if it's something new. And this is what my parents and grandparents were eating. That they just called biological food or organic food, and it's the same thing with the comfort zone. You know,
Uh,
we call it life outside the comfort zone, but actually that's just, as for children, as you said, that's life. that is life.
Uh-huh.
Outside, everything
Uh,
is outside your control when you're a child because you're constantly learning and doing things. So,
yeah.
yeah, I have become very conscious of all these labels and realize that, as you said before, yeah, the comfort zone is really the playground and the place where it all happens. Absolutely.
It's the juice. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. That's fantastic. So, talk a little bit about how you work with people. Mention your website, and maybe even if you have some programs going on right now,
Sure.
what are they, and maybe a little bit about the process, how you work with people.
Yeah, sure. So, let me just introduce my work. So, I'm Carl Brooks, a business coach here in the Netherlands, and I help coaches and therapists all over the world to break down the walls, psychological walls, mental walls, but also obviously the business blocks that are stopping them, in order so that they can really get their great work out into the world. And the way I do that is through one-on-one coaching, a minimum of 12-week program that I have, and I work on Skype with my clients. And the other way is through group coaching. I have a group coaching event every 2 weeks. We hop onto Zoom. We can all see each other a bit like this, like a hangout, and we take a theme, whether it's a business theme or a psychological theme, to help them move them forward in their business and their life. And I also have a program which is my retreat in Tuscany, Italy, which I do twice a
Wow.
year.
I
And
lived in Italy. Yeah.
oh, you
Wonderful.
did? Oh,
Yes.
wow. Well, you know how
Yeah. I'm
green and
actually. I was
luscious it
born.
is.
I was born in Hungary, Carl. Not that far from you.
Ah, cool, cool. Oh, wow.
Mhm.
So we're kind of almost quasi neighbors. Wonderful.
Yeah.
We're world
And
citizens and
I've been to Amsterdam more than once. So who
oh
knows?
wow. Oh wow, that's wonderful. Yeah, it's a beautiful part of the world, and Tuscany is like an hour's flight from Amsterdam, so we're very close. And the retreat is a place where it's an immersive, transformational week for 10 people where we get together, and I really give my entire business program to set them up to create the momentum and magic and money in their coaching business. Really get clear on their business clarity, what it is they want to create with their business. We look at the programs that they want to create so that they create a program that really resonates with their customers' deepest desires, and also look at how to market themselves, how to promote themselves into the world, and use all the tactics and strategies to really get your message out there and build your following, which is really what's so important about being a coach. It's not about just helping people, it's also about building your following so that your reach increases, that you can reach and help and serve more and more people around the world. So we do all of this in Tuscany, Italy, and the next retreat is coming up on April 30th until the 7th of May. It's a week-long transformational adventure in the green and luscious blossom
Wow.
hills of Tuscany. And if anyone's interested
With
to learn about that,
beautiful with beautiful wine and beautiful food, right?
oh, it is. It's all included. We have this fantastic estate, a private estate with its own vineyard up in the Chianti Hills, and it's a
Mhm.
family run estate. And they grow their own olive oil. They have their own organic gardens. So we're going to be eating like kings and not counting calories, just enjoying life to the full, to get that inspiration to move you forward in business. And if anyone wants to find out about that, I would love for your viewers to find out more details and to consider joining us. Yeah, just go to the website. It's eatpraylearn.com, eatpraylearn.com, and there you can find all information about the retreat and set up a call with me to talk about it and see whether we'd be a good fit to work together and you to come to the retreat. I would certainly love that. So those are the programs
Oh,
that I offer. Yeah.
that's awesome. That sounds absolutely fantastic. I hope our viewers will take you up on it. So I want to talk just a little bit more about clarity. We are almost at the end of the show, but what do you think we could offer to the viewers right now in regards to our theme, which is how to get clarity just about anything, and and I'll kick it off, and then you tell me uh, what would you like to add to that. So for me, and I'm just using my own example because that's all I got. So how I got clarity for myself is to be committed to figure out who I am. and I basically recovered for a couple of addictions, which you talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Earlier in the show, I had them myself,
Hmm.
um, and I recovered from those addictions by making that commitment that I'm ready to stop living and taking the blue pill every day, because it's going to drive me to destruction basically. And I took the red pill, and I figured out who I am, and more importantly, I learned about how to love myself unconditionally,
Hmm.
and that is in my experience what got me to where I am today, and I'm just getting started. This is
Yeah.
like 10 years ago.
Wow. Wow. That's great. That's wonderful, and that's such an inspiration. And I would just like to add to that that for me, talking about addictions, I mean, everybody's had them. We've all had them, and even if it's just chocolate or whatever, and if you think you don't have any addictions, then you're addicted to denial. Uh, that's what I always say.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's well put.
yeah, because we're all human. Come on. So yeah, and the thing that I would like to add to that is just to say that, from a practical point of view, because I'm a coach, so I believe in step-by-step plans and blueprints to get people to where they want to be. I want to give people some easy, practical steps. And what I have found from my experience is, for all of us perfectionists out there, uh, it's to wait until you have total clarity on who you are, to take steps to really, give your gifts in the world and do what you are here to do. What you are here to do is its own pitfall. So the best way to rise above perfection and rise above this feeling of, oh, I don't know who I am, what to do, is just to take action, engage with people, find yourself a good support system of friends, even if that means that you may have to let some old friends go to make space for some new supportive friends to help you in that direction. Be open to divine guidance, meditate, use prayer, to really use all different sources of inspiration, not just your own thought, because your own thought process is actually a tool. It's actually a tool, but the energy has to come from elsewhere, either from an internal source through your physiology, or through a more divine or spiritual source. So be aware of all the sources of inspiration as you go on this journey of finding who you are and loving yourself, because yes, it's important to protect yourselves from outside influences of the human kind, but not of the spiritual kind. Those are the ones that we want to let in, let that flow happen. So for me, again, engagement is really important to find out who you are. Don't wait until you've got it all nailed down and written down on a piece of paper, and you've done 10 personal development self-help books. No, just just engage, just take action, just connect, and through meditation and prayer, and let it come to you. You don't have to find it out. Let it come to you.
That's very beautifully said. All right. So, is there any other way that you would like? We kind of at the end of the conscious half hour, which
Sure.
usually takes 2 minutes. So 2 minutes is up. Is there any other contact information you would like to leave for the viewers, or is
Sure.
your website is the main way you want people to contact you?
Sure. Well, I'll give you my main website, which is carlbrooks.com. Carlbrooks.com is where you can find me and all my programs, including detail about the Eat, Pray, Learn Retreat. It's all on there. And that would be a great place for you to connect with me. You can find my links to Facebook and Twitter there, and my YouTube channel. So just go to carlbrooks.com and we'll get you covered.
Awesome. Carl, thank you very much for being on Conscious Evolution Media, our network, and thank you very much for being on this show. And you are definitely one of those inspirational leaders out there that we need more and more of. I think we're building some kind of an army here.
I think so too. I know that change is a coming. It's a coming.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is already here. So
It's
thank you
already here.
thank you for what you do, Carl, because it's extremely important. And thank you for who you being in the world. So for everybody else out there, if you were touched, moved, and inspired by anything that we said here or did here today, especially Carl, go to his website or keep coming to this show on our YouTube channel, which is easy to find. Just put in Conscious Evolution Media in the search box and you'll find us. We have close to 2,000 shows on there. The more you watch this show or any other shows, the better the possibility that this show could be on the top 10 list uh, in each month. And if it makes it, then it has the possibility to go to uh, PBS, public television, as well as cable television, and some of the other new and upcoming networks that we are working with. So thank you again. I loved every second.
Me too. It was fun. Thank you so much for having me on the show, Steve. It was great.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of the night.
Thank you. Yeah, it's 3:30. I'm going to sleep.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Take care.